our brain, our whole everything is wired to protect us so that we can sustain our lives long enough to grow and reproduce, right? So if you're going towards something that requires a different version of you, there's a part of you that has to die. That's scary. There's a part of you that's going to have to release and let go. There's a part of you that at some point may physically have to get up and leave what you've always known or what you've become accustomed to. There are sacrifices that you're going to have to make. There are trade-offs and big decisions. That's why we talked about decisions in the last episode that you're going to have to make in order to have, become, and do what you need to do. Okay? So hello. Welcome back to the final episode of the series, y'all. It feels like it's been a while since I've been doing this. I feel like I recorded like 30 videos, but we made it. Okay, so welcome to, I think for the podcast, is episode 12, 16 Carriages. So today we will be talking about leaving the dark behind. This whole series has been essentially about reaching in through the darkness where I was and helping people out of it. And so this episode is going to be focused on how do we move on? What is next for our lives? What is now? Like, okay. So yeah, before we even go that far, let's do our mindful minute. Okay. Welcome back. For those of you who are not new here, welcome to those who are. I hope you enjoy your stay. Don't forget to subscribe. If you come across something that you like, hit the like button. Show love. You feel me? But let's get into our mindful minute. Let's come into this moment. Deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Put a hand on the stomach, a hand on your heart, or hands in your lap, whatever you want to do. And let's begin. You can close your eyes if you like, or soften your eyelids. And just feel your body. Just feel. Try to breathe more into your belly than into your chest. One more breath in and out. So this episode, we're going to talk about goals, failures, what to expect when you're going down a new path, especially if the road is entrepreneurship, or even if it's not, even if you decide to like go for a promotion or whatever, however you decide to get your money up and change your life. And it's not just about money, but essentially, yeah. The reason I named this episode 16 Carriages is because that song by Beyonce, it's like, first of all, the 1 and the 6 make a 7. This is the 7th episode in the series. And so that was that. But also because it's about leaving your fears behind you and choosing to pick up your goals and go forward, even when you're tired, even when you're ready to go back home, back to what's familiar, right? Continuing to just let your goals and your dreams carry you into your new earth, your new experience, because you've already been in this one, right? You know what it's about. You got the mug, the t-shirt, the shot glass, the keychain. There's no reason to go back. So my question to you is, how much longer will you choose to stay here? How much longer do you want to stay living a life that is not everything you know it could be? How much longer do you choose to stay in situations where you aren't valued for who you truly are and for the things that you offer? How much longer will you continue to make decisions that hurt you? How long until you choose to write a better part of the story and make the pain worth it? Right? So just sit with that. And that's a question I ask myself when I get upset. Let's say I get like super pissed off or super sad, which happened recently, very recently. And I ask myself, I'm like, okay, how long? You know, how long do you want to feel this way? Because at any moment you can flip the switch. Now, that doesn't mean not honoring your emotions or feelings when they show up, your experiences, letting them be, but then letting them pass. So when I ask myself that question, or when you ask yourself this question, when it comes to the season in your life, or when it comes to the emotional state that you found yourself in, it reminds you that there's something that comes after this moment. And you get to go there whenever you choose to. And so sometimes I'll be like, give me 2 weeks. I'm mad. Give me an hour. And then, okay, we can do something else. We can shift this, uplift it, and move on. But the next question, what do you want? If you could, like the video, the short that I posted probably over a month ago now, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do if success was guaranteed? No ifs, ands, no buts, no limitations, no self-doubt. That's what your heart is calling you to do. And it's for a reason. And life is a funny thing. And they say like God works in mysterious ways, because when you have a calling, that usually leads you to all of the other things that you've been yearning for, whether that be the right relationship, the right friendships, right? A better financial situation, changing the course of your family's financial and relational health. But it starts with the calling. And we get to choose, like we talked about in the last episode, we have that free will, right? So we can choose to say, no, that's too much, too big, not for me. I'm not the woman for the job. I'm not the man for the job, right? We can choose that, but that has its consequences. And so what you want to do essentially, and what I've done, we're going to talk a little bit about my little entrepreneurship ventures thus far here in just a second, but you have to reverse engineer what you want. Just like if you're baking a cake, of course you don't start with the cake because you don't have it yet. So what are the ingredients? What are the actions? What are the things that are going to get you to where you want to be? So when I wrote my notes on this part, what I was reminded of is Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. He's the same guy that wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he has this notion of be, do, have. So in order to have what you want to have, you have to do what you have to do. But in order to do it, you have to be that person. So if you're someone who wants to be the first millionaire in their family, right? You're going to have to be somebody who is disciplined, somebody who is focused, somebody who believes in their self, to be able to do the things that are going to create the wealth that you're going to have. Be, do, have. So that's how you reverse engineer what you desire in your life and what you want to show up. So the steps of, real quick, I already have a video on goal setting and accomplishments, so we're not going down that road. If you'd like to, you can go visit that video, and it's very in depth of how I approach my goals and how I accomplish them, and how I've had the success I've had with the things I've chosen to pour my energy into long term. So the first thing is figure out first of all, what you want. Why do you want it? Like a deep why, not just, oh, I want to have money. What is that money going to do for you? For me, I'm going to have the wealth that I'm going to have because I need my freedom. In order for me to feel at peace, I have to feel secure financially. And that's a human thing. It's like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or if you want to think about your chakras, your root chakra, if your root chakra, which is your basic needs, right? Your safety, all that good stuff. If those things aren't met, if you're worried about what am I going to eat, if I'm going to have enough to pay my bills, am I going to have enough gas to get to work, the last thing you're worried about is reaching a higher state of consciousness because you're focused on survival. And that's natural and it's by design, right? So you have to find something deeper that's going to carry you past all the hard things that you're going to face on the way. So, third, forget the when. Forget the when. 4, who/how. So I say who instead of how because the how is the who. I feel like Dr. Seuss. But the who I'm talking about is a mentor. For me, my trading mentor, Jessica Lane, she's the greatest to ever do it. I don't care what nobody says. Okay, she does not lose. She does not miss. But that took her deciding to become a new person, to be able to reach the skill level and the self-control that she has to have the millions of dollars that she's accumulated. Right? And she still has to continue to walk out that character every single day when she shows up in the market every week. Right? So find you, like we talked about a few episodes back, find you some virtual mentors who can just help you as far as mindset, spirituality, walking the righteous path, staying focused, staying inspired and encouraged, not motivated, but things that feed your discipline, right? You want to find people who do that for you. But most importantly, that's going to help you day to day. But when it comes to accomplishing this goal in short time, you got to find a mentor that's already done it. And if it's something you want to do that hasn't been done yet, there's still a blueprint for certain pieces of that puzzle. Find the very best. And they're not hard to find. Find the very best person. If they offer a program for mentorship, save up your money, do whatever you got to do to make it happen. Invest in yourself. Okay? And if they don't, just study them very meticulously and very closely. Watch them every day. Become almost obsessed in a healthy way. Okay? I have a very obsessive personality when it comes to all things that I desire and adore and love. And I don't shame myself on it because it's just my passion being expressed, you know. So yes, become very in tune with how they move. You can Google if it's like a certain business that you want to model after. Their records are online. A lot of that is public record. You just have to know where to look. YouTube will tell you a lot about how to find what you need to find. Okay. And then the last step, you're going to get the roadmap, the blueprint from them, right? The last step is how do you work that into your life? That's where the routine comes in. We already talked about routine, so we're not going to talk about it. But figure out what you can do realistically every single day. And I mean 7 days a week. Even on Sundays, yes. For at least an hour on Sundays, you need to be committed to what you say you want. Because if you do the calculation, how many days are you behind if you choose to miss a day every single week? 52 days. That's over a month, almost 2 months where you could have been that much further ahead had you just taken that 1 hour to study on a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon or morning before brunch, or, you know, the mimosas become bottomless, or before you go to church, you know, whatever you're into. And then we're going to talk about what to expect. So I'm going to give you what to expect, and then I'm going to give you the counter to that, because we do not present challenges or problems without presenting solutions here. So first thing, expect fear. This is because our brain, our whole everything is wired to protect us so that we can sustain our lives long enough to grow and reproduce, right? So if you're going towards something that requires a different version of you, there's a part of you that has to die. That's scary. There's a part of you that's going to have to release and let go. There's a part of you that at some point may physically have to get up and leave what you've always known or what you've become accustomed to. There are sacrifices that you're going to have to make. There are trade-offs and big decisions. That's why we talked about decisions in the last episode that you're going to have to make in order to have, become, and do what you need to do. Okay? So that's natural, expected, so it doesn't catch you off guard. When you feel scared, just know that, okay, that's a sign that growth is about to happen. Like when a baby's about to come, the contractions, the pain, the mama's like, she's not like, oh, she's like, get it out of me. But when those contractions come, when that water breaks, that tells you, oh, something's about to happen. Just let that be an alert. Don't let that be a trigger for you to run. Let courage drive. Remember, we talked about several episodes back in the series, we talked about your younger self, your inner child, and putting that child safely next to you and putting it on a seatbelt and letting it know that I know you're scared, but I got us now and we're going to be okay. So let fear be the passenger and let your courage be the driver. Do not be controlled by any of these things that you're going to face. And that's the whole point in preparation. Just like when like athletes have a game coming up, when teams have to face opponents, they're going to watch their game film. Why? Because they want to know how they play. They want to know their moves. They want to know what to expect. Why? So that they can counter it and overcome it and get the victory. And I was just reminded of a video I was watching at work yesterday. There's a preacher, I forgot his name at the moment, forgive me, but he was basically talking about how the enemy works. And to me, the enemy, it can be our own selves at times. It can be our conditioning, anything that goes against what's for your highest good, right? Anything that leads you to make sinful decisions, as in decisions that go against your well-being. So he talked about how the enemy and these dark entities, right, they study us. They know our weaknesses. They know our desires. They know our triggers. They know our likes. They know what gets us to sink our teeth into some poison that looks good but is not good. They know exactly what you want. They know what you need when you need it. So what do? They put these little things in front of you and see what you're going to do with it. You pick it up. Oh, she's curious. Let me add a little sprinkle of that, right? You smell it. Oh, she's going further with this. You know, it's like that. Excuse me, I'm trying to say it, don't spray it. So you want to look at these things as that. This is your opposition. It's not another person. It's not a business competitor. In reality, there's more than enough for everybody. So if you're deciding to go into business, don't approach it with the fear of lack. Don't approach it with, oh, there's only a certain number of clients in this market. Let's say you're in real estate and it's oversaturated. I'm seeing realtor posters everywhere. No, that's when you have to study what they do and then put your secret sauce into it. And that's how you monopolize the industry. That's how you win. That's the only thing that Amazon did, that Netflix did, that Blockbuster didn't do, right? That innovation, that extra step to say, okay, what in the future, what is my consumers going to desire most? Is it convenience? Is it a lower price? Is it speed? Is it bringing services together? You have to sit and do some thinking and some reflecting and some studying on what's going to set you apart, instead of letting that lack drive you to wasting your time and wasting your money, because you're not going to make much with that mindset and that perspective. And it's a false narrative anyway. So the next thing you want to expect is failure. Okay. Story time. But first, I just want to say this. Nipsey Hussle, I was watching one of his videos, I think yesterday morning when I was getting dressed. And he said, even when things go wrong, but you have a plan, you don't have to get caught up in that. You say, okay, this happened, but I still got to do this, this, and this. So that keeps your mind thinking forward and not getting stuck in that failure or that moment of disappointment or things didn't turn out like I wanted them to turn out and I put all this effort in. That's going to happen as part of the process. Why? Because you're learning. So you're going to make mistakes, allow it, expect it, but take what you learn from those mess ups and let that make you better. And continue to lay a brick a day, okay? That's why it's a marathon and not a sprint. And that's something I continue to tell myself all the time, because we want what we want now. But if you think about the process of an acorn turning to an oak tree, that takes time. That takes seasons changing. That takes rain, sunshine, transformation, going under the earth, being buried in darkness, sprouting a rooting system, right? Finding a source of water, getting all the nutrients you need to be able to become this giant oak that gives life to so many creatures, and shelter and shade. That's a process, multiple years. So remember that when you feel impatient, okay? And so story time. Since my first degree is biology, I did that because I used to want to be an OBGYN. Before that, I wanted to be a brain surgeon. Didn't want to go through all that schooling. And I got to be a junior in undergrad, and people started asking me, "You're going to take the MCAT?" And I'm like, I'm thinking about it. So later I ended up taking the MCAT and I got like a 492, which isn't terrible. And because I had a 4.0, I could have gotten into DO school. But what stopped me from doing that is I had to have a real moment of reflection. If I'm going to take this commitment, my life is going to be altered forever. These are several years of my life that I'm never going to get back. Is it going to be worth it for me? Like we talked about in the last episode, thinking ahead, right? And from what I found and what I've heard, for me personally, medical school is not the best route to go. And so if you're somebody who wants to be a doctor, pharmacist, nurse, engineer, whatever, for the money, it wasn't for the money for me. It was genuinely a passion because I love science. I love the human body. It fascinates me. I still plan to be a doula in my lifetime because I just find that process of bringing a soul into this earth one of the most beautiful gifts that we have. And I think it's an honor to be able to help mothers do that. So for me, it was very passionate and intellectually driven. But for one, it was going to cost more money than I was willing to go in debt for. And for two, it was going to take too much time. And for three, it was too much of an emotional burden from my research. And I have a friend of the family who she did it and she went through some things in her process. And I realized very quickly it wasn't for me. So that decision led me to feel afraid because I had to let go of this childhood dream that I had. And then my life is like, okay, you're about to graduate next year. What are you going to do? So anyway, in the end, it turned out fine. Ended up going to be a nurse because I was like, well, I still want to be in the medical field. I thought about travel nursing, so that was enticing. So that's what I do now as I'm transitioning to being a full-time day trader. So before that though, after I graduated college, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I got into corporate America. I was doing clinical research here back home in Kansas. I'm from Missouri, but I worked in Kansas. Let me be clear. Okay. So, I realized very quickly I'm not the type that can work for people. Like it's just not, it doesn't work well for me. And it was just a bunch of BS. So I started researching entrepreneurship ventures. The first one I came across was wholesaling. If you're familiar with wholesaling real estate, you know that, you know what it's about. So I tried that for a little bit, got a mentor. Come to find out, my mentor wasn't even actively doing the business anymore, which tells you how successful she probably was. But she was a great talker. So while we're on that point, that reminds me, make sure that before you pay somebody for their program, make sure that they have results. And you will know whether they have results or not, or if it's just all testimonial fluff. Okay? Follow your heart and your mind and your gut instinct. Don't be desperate because there's somebody out there that's teaching what you need to know and they're going to actually teach it to you. I had a mentor before Jessica with the BWO. He stopped showing up. It went left. And that discouraged me from wanting to trade, which was one of the other things I came up on. So that was back in 2020. And it made me not want to pay for anything again because I didn't trust, especially after that real estate mentor that turned out to be like flaky and fake. It was not a good feeling. So putting all that effort in, I remember like, even my mom remembers, I would come home and I would like cold call. I was in nursing school at the time, but I was still trying to work the business. So I'm like cold calling and for hours, y'all, hours, getting no after no after no. I went and saw a few properties. Like I was doing it, but it wasn't worth it for me. So that was one thing I did that I could say it failed, but I just stopped doing it. So then there came to be the trading thing and then my wellness coaching business. So all of these things, if I would have stayed invested in them, it would have paid off major, but I just changed throughout time and it just wasn't worth it for me anymore. And when I got discouraged, I didn't stay anchored in what I'm going to tell y'all to stay anchored in. So Those are some of my entrepreneurship ventures that have failed. But now, fast forward to today, I am on my way to becoming a day trader full time, and life is good. Okay. So expect delays. Things are not going to happen how or when you expect them to happen. I don't know how many people got to tell us this. I don't know how many times we got to hear it, but it's just not going to happen that way. Okay. Because the whole point of the process is preparation. You cannot be prepared for things if they don't come up. But you don't always expect the things that show up. So this is a short list of things that you can expect, right? But in all of this, there are going to be things that you don't expect in the like nitty-gritty details of your process. And that's why the delays are called. There are going to be parts of your business that you don't have working correctly in the beginning because you're still learning to fine tune, finding the right staff, finding the right support, finding the right strategy, the right approach. That's going to take time. So in order to oppose the discouragement from being delayed or feeling delayed, detach from the time aspect, because the time is going to pass either way, whether you're working toward your goal or not. Okay. And just remind yourself of that and get drenched in the work. Just get lost in the work. Okay. Don't make it your all everything, but be so focused on taking your steps, laying your bricks every day, working the plan, doing what your mentor is telling you to do. Be so focused on that you're not even worried about the time, because you know ultimately that if you work the process till the end, which is when you see results, you know that you're going to win. And that's something we have to tell ourselves all the time when we're in process, because it is a long journey of becoming, of hurt, of failure, losing sleep, losing money, losing friends, like feeling like your life isn't yours because you're pouring it all into your business. So remember to live your life outside of this, because it's going to take some time, and you don't want to feel like, I'm not saying waste time, spend your time wisely. Make sure you're still prioritizing the important relationships in your life. Make sure you're still prioritizing your wellness and your mental health, okay? But handle your business and do it consistently, okay? The last thing is expect discouragement. So when these failures come, when these delays come, when these fears come, you might get a little discouraged. But what do I do when I feel discouraged? I take myself there to the end, to the day when it happens. So visualization. This is why it's helpful. And that visualization can lead you to feel what you're going to feel and why you set out to do it in the first place. So remember, I don't want to be cliche and say remember your why, but I will say fast forward to the end and see it, feel it, taste it, smell it, experience it, so that can help you remember on the hard days, on the days when you feel discouraged, on the days when you're like, I've been trying this for months and months or weeks and weeks and years, and I still don't have any fruit. Why does it seem to be happening for other people faster than it's happening for me? Don't worry about that, because you don't know how long they've been in process, right? And you don't know what else is going on behind the scenes. So put your horse blinders on and run your race, okay? And know that the person that you're becoming in the interim is the only person that's going to be capable of handling that gift at the end. So you don't want to get it premature. Like, you don't want to take a cake out the oven too soon, or a baby out the oven too soon. It's not going to be great. Okay. So let that process you, and just focus on the work. Okay. Every great person, every wealthy person who got it their selves, right? They've been through exactly what you're getting ready to go through. They've been through what you're in right now. And the only thing, again, like Nipsey Hussle said, the only thing that set him apart from every other rapper that tried to do what he did independently and entrepreneur wise, the only thing that set him apart was that he didn't quit when it got hard. He didn't quit. There's like a YouTube documentary that talks about how when he went to jail and all that stuff, and he like sold his car and bought it, studio equipment and all this stuff. Like, it's so many times in this journey, even when he was getting ready to like buy the marathon, like the site for the building for the marathon store. And their first version of that back in the day, the opposition they faced with the police, and like, there are so many points in that story where he could have just been like, this is costing me too much money, too much time, too much disappointment, and it's not worth it, and went back to, doing what he was doing in the streets. But he had a vision, and he knew that eventually he was gonna get there. And what he did, that victory lap, because he stayed down, because he remembered that it's a marathon, and he had respect for his process. So model that. And that's how we endure it. This is how we endure the delays, the disappointment, the fear, the failures along the way. This is how we endure the process of turning our life completely around into something unrecognizable in the most amazing way. We endure all that hardship by managing our expectations. So, and watching people who did it. Continue to fill your timeline, fill your feed with people who are inspiring, uplifting, encouraging, okay, who encourage you to be your best and better self. I had a friend that told me his mom told one of his friends, do better than your best. Do better than your best. Like, really think about that, because we can always be more. We can always do more. And if you want more, that's what you're going to have to do. Okay. So focus on the effort. Don't focus on the time. The time is going to pass anyway, but know that if you stay down, you will come up, baby. Okay. I'm going to leave us all with that. Stay connected with me on IG and TikTok at The World of Taj. Give it a thumbs up if you found this valuable at all. If you've enjoyed the series, please give me some feedback and let me know how it helped you or how it helped the people that you've shared it with. Also, if you have requests for content, if you need prayer, whatever, reach out to me or leave a comment, DM me, however you want to go about it. And until next time, I will see y'all Sunday. Stay kind, stay true, stay patient, stay encouraged, and stay anchored in what you know to be true in your heart of hearts. Okay, until next time, your favorite wellness coach signing out. Peace.